Hey guys, this is Hatebound again. I wanted to go over an awesome card I found from the new set War of Spark. It's this card, which is an uncommon. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, proliferate. Now how can we use this for an EDH deck? What I'm thinking is, sure you can go Planeswalker, sure you can go put her in Atraxa, but I had a different idea, and I want to show it to you guys right now. If you know anything about the videos I do, I like to show decks off by playtesting them with you and doing a walkthrough. So here's the first one I got. It's a 5-color deck, and you'll kind of get the idea as we're playing, but let's just play through a round and then I can explain my thoughts about it. So we're playing a multiplayer pod, let's just assume that. So untap, upkeep, draw. We already got one of the cards we really need, Crystalline Crawler. He has Converge, so he enters the battlefield with 1/1 counter for each color mana spent to cast it, and then you can remove a counter to add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. So let's start with Overgrown Tomb. We're going to lose some life, ding, play Bird's Paradise. Moving on to next turn. Next turn, untap, upkeep, draw. Let's play a City of Brass. And now we have a couple different choices we can go with here. I'm going to, personally, I'm going to wait and play my Worldly Tutor at the end of the turn, and then possibly hold up mana for this counter target triggered or activated ability, assuming the opponents may or may not do something. So end of turn, let's play our Worldly Tutor to put Flux Channeler on top. So untap, upkeep, draw. Now we have Flux Channeler. Let's play a Temple Garden, lose 2 life. Let's play our Flux Channeler. And we don't really have anything else we could do at the moment, so let's leave it at that. Next turn, untap, upkeep, draw. So here where things can start getting some fun. So let's play 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's say that's black, red, white, blue. We'll play Crystalline Crawler with with 4 counters. Now the great thing I love about Flux Channeler and this is when you have low cost spells that draw you a card, you're essentially having a net 0 mana. What I mean by that, you remove a counter from Crystalline Crawler, let's say a green, to play Insist, which is the next creature spell you cast this turn can't be countered by spells or ability to draw a card. It will then proliferate, which will then put that back up to 4 counters, draws you a card. So you can kind of see where it's going. Cataxian Probe, even better. It's a free cost non-creature spell, so you're going to be proliferating. It's going to net you a mana. You'll look at a target player's hand, and you'll draw a card. So that's kind of the general idea so far. But let's back it up just a little. So what the deck also has is spells like this, where you can create a token of a copy of a target creature you already control. So let's pretend that we played that first instead. You never want to go down to 0 counters, of course. Let's say we take away 3. We'll play that on our Flux Channeler. Now we have 2 Flux Channelers. Because there's a non-creature spell, we're going to add 1 mana to Crystalline Crawler. Go from there. So this was here. So let's say we remove 1 counter, goes down to 1. We'll play Insist, draw a card. Now it's going to proliferate twice. We're going to get 2 counters. So go up to 3. Do the same thing. Now before we play, and then we can do the same thing with so draw card. Do the same thing with Cataxian Probe. Like I said, you pay 2 life. You're gonna go up to 4 counters. Actually, this one you didn't pay any mana for because you paid life, so you go up to 5. Draw a card. Voila. Now we're at the point where we can play our Fabricate. So 1, 2, 3, but we're going to gain 2, so 1, 2. So we're really only losing 1. Play Fabricate. Now if you really want to get net mana, you can go for something like Pentad Prism or Gemstone Ray, and then you'll have 2 sources where you're getting counters and that you can remove for mana. However, at this point, I think we're already good when it comes to what we need to net us lots of mana, but we need a draw source. So there's a couple draw sources. Since we go and look for an artifact, we're going to go for not as good of a draw source, but I'll show you guys the better one if we can get to it. So we have Mindless Automaton. Let's remove a counter to play Silence, and then of course we'll gain a counter from it. Let's remove another counter to play Unbridled Growth, which will gain us a card and another counter. Now the reason I had to do it like this was because if we had done it the other way and played Mindless Automaton, he is a creature spell, we would have been down to 1, and he would have not netted us mana. So unfortunately, it looks like this is where we got stopped. Because he only enters with 2 1/1 counters. If this was another non-creature spell, we'd be perfect because it's a land. We got a little stuck, so we'll just move on then. So Mox Diamond, perfectly good card. We'll play it, discard a land. That'll add 2 here. That will add, this already had 2, now we'll get 2 more. Now we can remove 2 to draw a card. So here's really the best card for this deck, and it's Generous Patron. So Generous Patron, when they enter, you support 2. You put a 1/1 counter of each up to 2 other target creatures. When you put 1 or more counters on a creature you don't control, draw a card. So obviously when you do the support, you're going to do it by putting counters on another creature. So 1, 2, 3, 3 mana. You don't even need to do that from him, honestly, since you have the mana right here, but whatever. And then we remove 2 earlier for the counters. So you'll do Generous Patron, you put on 2 other creatures, the support will then draw you 2 cards. Now, you play Mana Crypt, you're going to proliferate these guys, but you're also going to proliferate your Generous Patron. Because you have 2 Flux Channelers, you'll do it twice. So you're going to draw 4 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4. You can start to see where this gets a little crazy. You play Thought Scour for 1. You're netting mana, drawing 1 from the Thought Scour, 2, 3, 4, 5 from the Generous Patron. Now you can see you're just going to go crazy with mana, crazy with draw, and you're just keep going from there. Eventually, you can get to like a Yawgmoth's Will if you want to recast everything in your graveyard to keep going. And eventually you'll get to your win con, which is Firemind's Research. You're going to put a charge counter on it whenever you play an instant or sorcery. And then when it has 5 charge counters on it, you can pay to either draw or to deal 5 damage to any target. There are so many non-creature spells, and there's so many ways to copy Flux Channeler that you should be able to get enough counters on Firemind to kill the board, especially with Yawgmoth's Will, depending on when you play it. Normally you won't play at the end. There's also Past in Flames, which again allows you to cast everything twice. Should be more than enough to get you there. Now you might think that you might draw out this way. Possible. If you don't want to have to worry about that, you can always do like a Notion Thief into a wheel and then go from there. And the commander I'm actually going to change to the 5-color commander or 5-color identity commander, who allows you to pay 5 mana, take an extra combat. Because what that can allow you to do is you can then get your creatures up to be really big. And when you do that, you can then just swing out. So another way that would be really easy just to add to this deck that I'm actually thinking about in this moment is Walking Ballista, although that is a creature. So I'm wondering if there's any non-creature spells out there. I like this one just because it allows you to get a draw and allows you to deal damage. So, and we can see how easy it can be to get stuff on here. So let's say like we play Think twice, we draw 5 cards. He gets 1 mana from that trigger, because we'll have that trigger go first, and we'll have the 2 proliferate triggers. So now it's at 3, you know, and then this, draw 5 cards. That's at 6. If you play something to copy, to once again copy your Flux Channeler, there's a couple cards that do it, like Twin Flame. You can copy that. Now all of a sudden it's proliferating 3 times, plus it just got another 3 counters. You get what I'm going with. So, copying your Flux Channeler, putting counters on your Firemind's Research. That's how I see this going to be able to win. Now you could make the argument if you put like the new Jace from War Sparks in here, who he's a really cool ability. If you would draw a card while your card has no cards in the library, you win the game. You could potentially put him in the deck. Absolutely. He's a non-creature spell. You can proliferate him to get up to the draw 7. And yeah, so in this way he's better than Lab Maniac for the deck, because as you can see, when you get to this point where you have Generous Patron and Flux Channeler, you've won the game. So that's the deck. That's how it plays through. You try to get Flux Channeler, some kind of mana removal or some kind of counter removal for mana, and then Generous Patron. Those 3 together. So let's go over the deck, which here it is. I'll put a link in the description below. Some noteworthy cards from the deck that I want to go over. There's a lot of, like I said, there's a lot of 1-cost draw card with some kind of utility. It's not always best, and you know, you could possibly make a more big deck to make it to be more efficient. That way you can always tutor for your creatures that you need without having to worry about having all these cantrips in there. You can be more sure, because really once you have Generous Patron out, Generous Patron nets you so much draw that it's ridiculous. It really is. Some other stuff though, like I said, Firemind's Research is the win con. You can also put Aether Flux Reservoir in the deck. This deck is mostly a prototype, so that's why there's a bunch of ideas you could go with here. But you can put Aether Flux Reservoir. You know, you're casting lots of spells, you're going to be gaining lots of life if you put that out there, and you're easily going to be able to kill people. Magmatic Insight's a great card. It's a one, you know, you're always getting too much land in your hand from these, so allowing you to draw to net a card for 1 mana, fantastic. Like I said, there are these cards to copy the creatures you control. This one, you know, you copy Generous Patron, you're drawing so many cards, or you copy your Flux Channeler, and you're just proliferating like crazy. But the other great part about this card is that you can cast it again from your graveyard, ditching some land or something you don't need. That's also why Think Twice is in here. Being able to cast again is really important for the deck. It really works well for it. There's also wheels. I found that the wheels worked better for the deck than just 1-cost draw 1. It was a 3-cost draw potentially 6 or 7. That's fantastic. It's going to be a lot better for you overall. And it also allows us to add Notion Thief to the deck. So there are 3 cards that you can remove counters to add mana that are not lands. There's Crystalline Crawler, Gemstone Array, Pentad Prism. I like Pentad Prism the most because it costs 2. You can copy artifacts with Saheeli, with her second ability, copy artifact, Sculpting Steel. You can there's a couple ways to copy creatures. I don't know all of them in the deck. I'll let you guys, if you want to look, you can. Sensei's Divine Top is really good with the deck. So imagine we had all that stuff out, or imagine we had Flux Channeler out and Crystalline Crawler and 1-cost spells to draw. With Sensei's Divine Top out, what you do is you tap to draw in response to any spell that lets you do any 1-cost spell that lets you draw. You draw into top, you play top, and you do it again. And the reason you do it this way is because it'll net you proliferation triggers. So every spell that's 1-cost lets you draw. You tap to draw with top instead and first, let that resolve, and you'll draw into top, play top. You'll have 2 proliferation counters from that. So that's a really good little trick I found. Like I said, Yawgmoth's Will and Past in Flames are really good for when you're at the end. You want to recast all these little cantrips you've played into the yard. or that you've put into the yard, you can play them again. Yeah, so tell me what you guys think. I really love this card, Flux Chandler. It is so silly, so silly, and it's an uncommon. Can you believe that? It's just crazy. I'm planning to do another video that shows some of my other favorite cards from this set for EDH, and that'll come out in about a week or two once all the spoilers have finally calmed down. I think we're getting to that point, because today, April 6th, there was only one card spoiled, so hoping that's the case. Yeah, besides that, tell me what you guys think, any ideas you might have, how you like the deck, and that's going to be it for me, so we're all having a good time. Peace.